Great, so let's open it up for our live Q&A. And we've already got a question up. So this one has to do with when building partnerships, we're talking a little bit about this, but actually it's a good kind of more direct question. When building partnerships with businesses, how do you overcome barriers to negative perceptions with the corrections population? Anybody want to take that one?
You want to start?
It comes back to invite them into the facility, invite them in to meet the inmates. It's not so scary once you get inside and you've shaken a hand, or you've, our culinary training program always is a hit because they make lunch, or they serve a buffet for any visitors that come through the facility. And, and when visitors see their little penguins with their salami top hats, or they see the wonderful displays that the students are able to make out of fruit, and it's just amazing. So it personalizes that relationship, I guess, between the employer. It's so scary.
But it sounds like even though you've used grants as an impetus for reaching out, is it fair to say that when you have reached out, you've been received well?
I would say so, yeah. I think everybody recognizes that if we can help our ex-offenders to get viable jobs that are family sustaining, that is going to be better for our local communities. So I think it's not a far stretch to understand why it would be a good thing to help this population.
Right. So just knocking on someone's door sometimes is really all it takes to establish that partnership.
Grants are here and there, but knocking on the door, that's easy to do.
Great.
It takes a little extra time, but you need to do it.
Okay, great. Any other questions? Oh, with the use of technology being limited inside the corrections system, can you address how to gain access to high quality relevant resources? And Brian, you are tackling this issue and have tackled it pretty successfully in your area. So I'm going to actually ask you to start to kind of address the whole notion of technology, and many people feel that that is a huge barrier for them. So
yeah, I think right now there's a real perception that having internet-based resources are not possible. And actually, I would say that in our case, in our state, what we have done is assumed that the internet will not be available to our inmates. So instead, we've developed virtual servers. We have within our facility, we have a web server that acts as in control of it is the internet for our students. On it, we have Khan Academy. We run Khan Academy Lite right now. And Khan Academy, the group that is now formed, I think it's called Learning Equality or Equal Learning, something like that. That group, which is spun off from Khan Academy, has been really helpful in providing support for putting Khan Academy onto our computers. What I try to do is I have my instructors go out and find interesting resources that they would like to have on our computers. And I will say I have a rock star of a computer software developer instructor who can make it happen. I think having really good IT support is important, but what we've done is we basically have assumed that we have very little money to make this happen. So we use free resources, we use open source software, we make lots of phone calls and emails to people to ask them how they're doing things. And then it's surprising how people want to share. So there's a company, there's out of Goodwill Community Foundation has a gcflearnfree.org. They're willing to give you a mirror of their website, which has tons of resources on computer basics, Microsoft Office from 2003 on, a whole bunch of different things. It looks just like the internet. It operates just like the internet. So for those inmates who have been down since 1984, they now can actually experience what it's like on the outside. WiderNet has been a great partner with their e-granary platform. And I think a really quick example is I contacted Udacity because they've got these great courses that I'd like to see available for our students, especially those correspondence students who would like to have higher level programs, not just vocational programs. And they just sent me the link to where all of their courses are available to download. Now, the downside is that it means that your instructors have to do a lot more work because now you can overwhelm them with resources. And I think some of our instructors do feel that way. If you're used to not having any internet access, and now suddenly you have tons of resources, and your students are finding them before you do, and they're learning what they could do with it, that can be a challenge. But I guess the message that I have is that I think it is possible that if you work with your IT security and with Department of Corrections, and you have good IT support, you can recreate many of those to gain access to all of those resources. I think I have an instructor who always has wanted to teach an online class, and now in the last 6 months she's taught herself Canvas, which is the learning management system that Washington State uses for all of its community colleges. We have a Canvas server inside our prison, and she now is starting to do her GED class as a hybrid online class. So her students are on the computer, they take their tests on the computer, they do all of that work, which is great given how the new GED test is going to be. So it's possible. It's not impossible by any means.
Great.
I can only imagine that helps with the transition too, when they do successfully make it to community college. You were mentioning yesterday that they have email access within their networked labs, so to be able to correspond by email with your professor is such a necessary thing to know how to do, and be able to fill in online forms for employment.
Yeah.
So
And it's also easy to then teach good email etiquette.
Right.
Because of course we get to see every email that's sent. So you can quickly respond to some issues that way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great. And a question from our live audience. Our learners are only with us for a very short period of time before being transferred or released. How can we provide career pathways services to them? This may be something maybe perhaps, Renee, that I think you can address coming out of where you said.
Okay, the shortness of time
Yeah.
that people. Yeah, the length of time that the inmates in our jails are with us are not more than 3 to 4 months at the very most. Recently, we've had realignment, which is the incoming non-serious, non-sexual, non-violent inmates coming into the county jail instead of going to county prisons, and they are in our jails for longer terms. But generally speaking, students are only with us for 3 to 4 months. And so that's why those partnerships are so important to develop, because we know that we need to be able to have the service on the inside start it while they're in a very controlled environment and can kind of develop systems and develop habits while they're with us, and then they can successfully transition to hopefully a similar service or same service post-release. So we've tried to do that with our soft skills training program. It's offered inside the jail. Post-release, it's offered at our adult education facility. We've done that with our academic programs, the adult basic education, the GED preparation. They can take it on the inside, they can finish it on the outside. We also have done that with a lot of our substance abuse and cognitive behavior training programs. And whatever they start on the inside, we need to find a way to offer it on the outside so that they can have that complete wraparound service. And I have to say that the people that have been most successful have had an active case manager or an active transition specialist that has really helped them through the steps, because it's so easy for our students to, to fall off the path once they leave the jail. But if you have somebody to give you a call or text you or show up at your house and say, hey, you said you were going to come and finish your GED, so why don't you come in next Tuesday? That's what we've tried to do.
Great. So you start to establish services and then continue them upon release. And Brian, what about you?
We have our inmates for a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
So it's not, but I'm curious, do you do career counseling with your offenders, so that they know if they're leaving soon that here are the programs that are available to you when you get out, or that kind of thing?
We try to do that somewhat during the classes. With the Choices program, we try to make that happen through our transition specialist that we've had. We've had a transition specialist specifically for the points of entry participants that have been part of that program, and they have received more intensive training and career training. And then we also have an academic advisor that we have at our non-correctional adult ed. So we don't have a counselor per se, but we have people acting in counseling roles.
Got it.
And that's the best that we can do. counseling is a very expensive
Yeah.
option as well, so this has been a good alternative.
Great. Another question from our live audience. How have certification programs impacted the focus of post-secondary education in terms of workforce development? Don't all jump at once.
I don't know what's meant by certification programs.
Anybody want to clarify? Okay.
Well, we have recently, in I think early 2012, started our welding program, and that leads to certification at the community college if the student chooses to go to the transfer to the community college and earn that certificate. But while they're with us, we have worked with the community college to be able to build articulations. And this is very uncommon, I think, in a jail, but maybe more common at the community college level. So students, while they're in our welding program and in another one of our programs, are able to earn college credit as long as they have mastered the core competencies for that particular class and they have passed a final exam with an A or a B. They earn college credit. And then we have also partnered with the community college to bring in a certified welding inspector to be able to offer industry certifications while they're in custody. And so this certified inspector comes in and offers American Welding Society certificates, and the certificate is based on their skill level at the point that they're certifying. So students are able to leave with industry certificates while they're with us, but they're also able to have that option to transition to post-secondary and reach their certificate